What it do, what it is, what's good, what's poppin'? It's your boy Warren.
It's your girl Shiaira.
AKA Pretty Peaches, and today on this thing we about to be reacting to rappers that are killers. Cassidy, C-Murda, Cool C, and a couple more people. Let's get right into this thing and see what they talking about.
Rags and boasts. Many rappers who claim to be hard in their music are just doing it to sell records. But there are also plenty of rappers who have lived the life they describe in their rhymes. Here's a look at a few famous rappers who are alleged killers. Cool C. Christopher Douglas Roney, better known as Cool C, is a former rapper from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, who's currently on death row for the murder of a police officer in 1996. Cool C was active in the Philadelphia rap scene beginning in the mid-80s. He was part of a crew called Hilltop Hustlers, but went solo in the late 80s and released two albums, I Gotta Have It in 89 and Life in the Ghetto in 90. He later joined a group called CEB, or Counting Endless Bank, in 1991 and signed a deal with Rough House Records. But tensions between the group and the label put an end to this project. He was recording a comeback EP in 1996 when he was arrested for the murder of a police officer, Maritha Verde, in a botched bank robbery.
It was a girl? That's crazy.
On January 2nd, 1996, Cool C, along with fellow CEB member Warren Steady B McLone and another local rapper named
Warren Steady B McLone
Canty, allegedly attempt to rob the PNC Bank on Sun Avenue in the Feltonville neighborhood of Philadelphia. The trio had stolen a minivan for the job, and Steady B acted as the getaway driver.
These used to be them vans, the slide open doors, yeah.
While Cool C and Mark Canty went in to rob the bank had yet to open, and the two men held employees at gunpoint, ordering them to open the vault. The branch had no on-duty security, however, it did have a silent alarm, which the robbers tripped when they...
That it had no, usually...
No security.
Yeah.
It went open yet, though.
Oh, okay.
Verde, who was patrolling the area by herself, responded to the alarm. Canty led two employees into the vault, while Cool C guarded a third near the entrance. When Verde entered the bank, he shot her in the abdomen, and both he and Canty fled. Outside, Cool C exchanged shots with another police officer who also responded to the call, but got away and fled the scene in the vehicle driven by McLone. Verde died at the hospital later that day. Cool C was arrested on October 30th, 1996, and charged with first-degree
This year has been a lot of things, but if there's any
murder. He was found guilty and sentenced to death by lethal injection. Both Canty and Steady B were also found guilty, but sentenced to life in prison. His death warrant was signed by Pennsylvania Governor Ed Rendell in 2006, and his execution was originally set for March 6th of that year, but he was eventually granted a stay of execution to clear up some unresolved litigation. He was given a new execution date of December 5th, 2014, but was granted another postponement only a month before his new date. He is still on death row and continues to appeal the case. Cool C has maintained his innocence throughout the appeals process. However, all three employees of the bank survived and testified that he was the shooter. There's also surveillance footage from the crime scene and ballistic evidence linking him to the murder. Despite this evidence, Cool C claims that he was home eating a meal with his mother at the time of the crime.
That's crazy.
The former rapper continues to fight for his life, but it does not seem likely he'll win. There's a mountain of evidence against him, and very little reasonable doubt to suggest he's innocent. He's currently being held at State Correctional Institution Green, where he's awaiting a new date for his execution.
He really is innocent.
I was just thinking that, what if he was really at home eating chicken nuggets?
That's crazy. Because I'm like, sometimes it literally be just those moments where it just don't seem right, or it's just I'm like, he probably was really at home, but I don't know.
Yeah, but if it's evidence against him, that's
they
crazy.
Probably gonna get, because
that's crazy.
I don't know.
You just got
because they got him on, about to kill him.
Yeah, and they keep feeling his case like they know something that we don't.
I mean, they just might as well just give him life or whatever they're gonna do. They might as well not kill him if they
They shit already did. 96 to 2016 was 20 years. Yeah.
Cassidy. Barry Adrian Reese, better known as Cassidy, is a rapper from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. He's best known for his freestyling skills and singles like Hotel and I'm a Hustler. He began his career as a battle rapper in the 1990s and began seeing more commercial success in the early 2000s. On April 15, 2005, Cassidy was involved in a shooting where a man named Desmond Hawkins was killed. According to authorities, Cassidy, along with two other associates, fired on 3 unarmed men with pistols and an AK-47 in the West Oak Lane neighborhood of Northwest Philadelphia. Hawkins was killed in the shooting.
But years later, this dude named AR came out to say that it wasn't Cassidy who did all that. Cassidy just took the blame and stuff.
Allegedly, Hawkins and 2 other associates confronted Cassidy and crew over an altercation that occurred earlier that night outside a nearby pharmacy. Cassidy and those with him then opened fire on the 3 men, even though they were unarmed, and Hawkins was killed in the chaos. The other 2 men were shot but treated at the hospital. Cassidy turned himself into authorities on June 17th of that year after a warrant for his arrest was issued on charges of murder, attempted murder, reckless endangerment, aggravated assault, conspiracy, and weapons possession. Cassidy was facing the death penalty if convicted of murder, but his charges were eventually dropped to involuntary manslaughter, 2 counts of aggravated assault, and possession of an instrument of crime. He was sentenced to 11 to 23 months of prison plus probation. However, by that point, he had already served 7 months and was credited with his time. He was released 1 month later, March 2nd, 2006.
How do you go from life to...
All you need to launch a culinary empire. A square...
A.R. Ab, another popular Philadelphia MC, was one of the 3 men accused of firing on Desmond Hawkins and the others that night. In an interview with DJ Vlad, A.R. Ab claims that the 2 other men who were shot were close family friends who he himself helped raise. According to him, the 2 victims came to him after the shooting and let him know that police had pressured them into giving a statement. The primary witness eventually retracted his testimony, which is what led to Cassidy's charges being reduced. It's still unclear exactly what happened that night, but it does seem like authorities took a special interest in Cassidy because he was the most prominent person involved in the shooting. Despite potentially facing the death penalty, it was never believed that Cassidy was a shooter who killed Hawkins. Prosecutors alleged that Cassidy contributed to escalating the situation and did nothing to stop it from happening, which made him guilty. But without witness testimony, it was difficult to make the charges stick. A.R. Ab spent 2 years fighting the case, but was eventually found not guilty. It's tough to know exactly what happened the night of April 15th because Cassidy never cooperated with authorities and hasn't spoken on the situation much either than to proclaim his innocence. But it seemed as though an argument escalated into gunfire, and because Cassidy was the most notable person present, he took most of the heat. The witness testimony is the biggest piece of evidence to prove Cassidy's involvement, but without that, the prosecution's case fell apart. So despite his alleged involvement, the Philadelphia rapper is one of the true artists who can truthfully claim to have beaten the death penalty. C-Murda. Corey Miller, better known as C-Murda, is a rapper from New Orleans, Louisiana. He's the younger brother of Master P and older brother of Silk the Shocker, and was a big part of the success of No Limit Records in the...
I didn't even know they had another brother. Silk the Shocker. Was Master P other brother?
1990s. Miller and his brothers were born in the Cali Oak housing projects, a notorious area in the 3rd Ward of New Orleans known for murder and crime. The Miller brothers formed the supergroup True, or the Real Untouchables, in 1989, along with a long roster of New Orleans artists. No Limit began attracting international fame in the mid-1990s, and C-Murda...
Shit, from Young Boy to all of them, yeah, he's me.
Debut album, Life or Death, is considered one of the classic releases of that era. Yet, C-Murda's rap career was cut short after he was arrested in 2002 for the killing of a 16-year-old fan named
Crazy the whole time, this young boy dad that's locked up. But nah, we already seen the picture.
Thomas outside of the Platinum Club in Harvey, Louisiana. According to authorities, on January 18, 2002, C-Murda had a performance at the now-closed nightclub. Steve Thomas was a fan in attendance who went on stage to participate in a rap battle. It's alleged that after walking off stage, Thomas inadvertently bumped into a closed nightclub. Steve Thomas was a fan in attendance who went on stage to participate in a rap battle. It's alleged that after walking off stage, Thomas inadvertently bumped into a member of C-Murda's entourage, which caused an altercation. During the commotion, Thomas was beaten and allegedly shot in the heart by C-Murda. The rapper was arrested early in the morning on January 19th for causing a disturbance outside the House of Blues in New Orleans. He was convicted of the murder on September 30th, 2003, after an eyewitness claimed to have seen him fire the fatal shot. C-Murda appealed the charge and was granted a retrial after it was revealed that the prosecution withheld crucial evidence that the witness had criminal records. He was retried in 2009, but found guilty of second-degree murder and sentenced to life in prison. C-Murda has maintained his innocence in the shooting and has continued to fight the charge. Granted an appeal in 2011, but but a jury upheld the original verdict. In 2013, a final appeal was brought before the Supreme Court but was rejected.
The results strongly support that these beings are not closely related.
Finally, in 2018,
It'd be crazy because it'd be like you be having all these people around you and nobody can take the blame for you, but everybody eating off you. That's crazy.
But at
New
the
rep-
end of the day, it's just like, you want to willingly go to jail first, or like,
I feel you definitely. I definitely know what you're saying, but just
because at the end of the day, definitely, if I did not do it, and if like, you know what I'm saying, and it's crazy because from my understanding when I heard Master P was talking about it, I don't know if he even really did it. I don't know if they just put like, you know how gang stuff like on the
no, but they do just said on here that they saw him. A witness said they saw him fire a fatal shot.
Oh, okay.
Fire shot, yeah.
came to light. Two key witnesses in the case, Kenneth and Darnell Jordan, claimed that they had been coerced by police into giving a statement pointing the finger at C-Murda. Kenneth Jordan was a bystander who was present on the night of the shooting. Although he originally indicated C-Murda as the shooter, he later gave a statement claiming that in reality, it was not the rapper who he witnessed fire the fatal shot. Darnell Jordan was a security guard at the venue who was working on the night of the murder. He claimed that police detained him as a material witness and refused to let him go if he did not agree to testify against C-Murda. He also confirmed the statement that it was not the rapper who fired the shot that killed Thomas. Yet, despite this crucial turn of events, C-Murda had already appealed the conviction and had been found guilty several times, so he has remained in jail. In 2020, Kim Kardashian took to Twitter to announce that she was stepping in to help fight the wrongful conviction of C-Murda. As of yet, no new developments in the case have been announced, but Kim K has been successful in freeing 17 wrongfully convicted prisoners. So if anyone can help, it may be her. Exactly what happened outside the Platinum Club on the night of January 18th remains a mystery, but it does seem that there may be some truth to C-Murda's pleas of innocence, and this could likely be another case of a rapper wrongfully taking the heat for a crime simply for being the most famous person on the scene when the events transpired. Well, that's all for today. If you enjoyed this video,
Damn, that'd be crazy. He done spent damn near 15 years in jail, and he was innocent.
I told you.
Man, when stuff like that happen, it be damn near deeper than
Deeper, yes, and definitely some crazy stuff going
what
on.
we be knowing.
Yeah. Then he it was like him and his people and everybody. I don't know. I don't want to talk about it because it's just a lot. I don't know. I really don't know exactly what's going on, but I do remember seeing a little bit about that when I was watching Master P on the show too. How Kim K was up and along and stuff chopped out.
Actually, yeah, but y'all go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe. Just please tell us what y'all think.
Peace.